Hey guys, and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about some of the better bets against the spread for January 11th, 2017 in college basketball. Yesterday we had a pretty hot day, picking up 8 wins against the spread out of the 9 picks that we had in yesterday's video. Today we're going to talk about 10 matchups that look to be some of the better value plays against the spread for today's action. And if you're looking for more pick content beyond just what we talk about in this particular video, you can head on over to our main site, stumpthespread.com, to get our daily free play or premium pick content across all major American sports. And you can do that by clicking the link to Stump the Spread in the video description, or if you're on desktop, you can click this logo here in the top right hand corner and it will send you right over there. Again, we got about 9-10 games or so that we're going to be talking about in this particular video, and if you're interested in seeing what matchups we're going to be discussing, I'll list them in the video description as well in order of when I talk about them. Alright, so the first game that we're going to start with here is going to be South Carolina versus Tennessee. So heading right into this first matchup here, we have South Carolina, and they're back in running at full strength with Sindarius Thornwell back in the mix. And since Thornwell's return, the Gamecocks have picked up back-to-back wins in the SEC against Georgia on the road and the other day at home against Texas A&M by a final of 79-68. South Carolina doesn't have the offensive talent to outpace their opposition on most nights, but this group has been tremendous on the defensive end, ranking 10th in the nation in points allowed compared to 228th in scoring average. South Carolina is putting together a respectable resume, standing 12-3 overall and 2-0 in conference up to this point. And the Gamecocks are led by Thornwell, who's averaging just over 18 points per game on the year. And then the home team is going to be Tennessee, and this Tennessee squad has shown growth throughout the regular season up to this point, and this talented and developing group will get their fair share of wins in the SEC this season. Tennessee has been very competitive this year, and the Vols are better than their record would suggest, as Tennessee currently stands 8-7 overall and 1-2 in conference. Tennessee has shown offensive growth, and the Vols currently stand 84th in the nation in scoring average compared to 231st in total defense. Not many teams in the SEC have faced a tougher schedule than the Vols this season, and this group is coming off a competitive 70-83 loss on the road against Florida. That game on the road against Florida was really close for quite a while, right until the end, where Florida was able to pull away. Tennessee has a solid home court advantage, but the Vols are coming off a competitive loss in their last outing at home against Arkansas, and this will be another tricky test at home today, going against a really strong defensive team. South Carolina has shown that they can come through on the road with their recent win at Georgia, and we like the Gamecocks to come through in this one as they go on to cover the spread against the young Tennessee Vols. Moving on to the next matchup we're going to talk about is going to be Minnesota against Michigan State. The Minnesota Golden Gophers have been much better than most were expecting coming into the year, or pretty much anyone was expecting, as this group stands 15-2 overall and 3-1 in the Big Ten. After hardly being able to pick up a win in conference play last year, Minnesota's been playing with a lot more confidence this go-around. The Golden Gophers' one conference defeat came in their opener against Michigan State by a final of 74-75 in what was a very competitive matchup. In their last outing, Michigan State was able to outpace Ohio State at home, picking up the win by a final of 78-68. The Golden Gophers have been great on the road as of late, beating both Purdue and Northwestern in conference play last week away from home. And Minnesota has shown strengths on both ends, ranking 104th in the nation in scoring and 72nd in total defense. This is a Minnesota squad that has played the large bulk of their contests at home, but to be fair to them, they also have shown that they can get the job done on the road. Michigan State has been a disappointment this season in terms of their preseason ranking, but the Spartans have been one of the better teams thus far in conference play, as the Spartans now stand 11-6 overall and 3-1 in the Big Ten. Michigan State did come up short in their last outing, however, on the road, losing to Penn State by a final of 63-72. The Spartans have picked up some solid recent home wins against Oakland, Northwestern, and Rutgers, and in their last home game against Rutgers came in a really impressive fashion, winning by a final of 93-65. Michigan State hasn't been as dominant as most were expecting coming into the year, but the Spartans are still a dangerous threat when playing up to their ceiling. MSU is led by freshman Miles Bridges, who's averaging just over 14 points per game. Michigan State already has a win against Minnesota under their belt in what was a highly contested road win for the Spartans. This is another great chance for the Spartans to pick up a needed resume-building win, and we like for the Spartans to come through on their home court as they get the job done here and win and cover this spread. Moving on to Seton Hall versus Marquette, another conference rematch that we have here. Seton Hall doesn't look doesn't look pretty all that often, but the Pirates have been largely effective, standing 12-3 overall and 2-1 in the Big East. Seton Hall likes to play off of their defense, and the Pirates currently stand 97th in the nation in points allowed and 110th in scoring average. Seton Hall is coming off one of their more dominant performances this season, beating DePaul at home the other day by a final of 87-56. Prior to that, Seton Hall had their challenges at home against Marquette before pulling off a miraculous win in the end of that game by a final of 69-66. Seton Hall has been led by Kadeen Carrington, who's averaging 18.7 points per game. Marquette should have been able to come through in their last outing on the road against Seton Hall, and this is a revenge game for the Golden Eagles today as they get a chance to get back at the Pirates. Marquette brings a higher ceiling on the offensive side of the ball, as the home squad ranks 24th in the nation in scoring average compared to 185th in total defense. Marquette was competitive in their last outing on the road against Villanova, coming up short, losing by a final of 81-93. Marquette has a lot of offensive threats with an impressive 7 players averaging between 8 to 14 points per game. Marquette has a lot more offensive potential than Seton Hall, and we saw that at times in their last outing against the Pirates recently in that losing effort and before the wheels fell off in the closing minute of that game. We do like Marquette to exact some revenge here as they go on to win and cover against the Pirates at home. Moving to a Missouri Valley matchup here, we're going to have Indiana State versus Drake. Indiana State has gone against a very challenging slate so far this season, and this group is better than their 6-10 overall record might suggest. Indiana State has had a number of competitive defeats this year against quality opposition while also picking up wins during the non-conference against teams like Butler at home and Utah State on the road. Indiana State hasn't been able to put everything together in conference play thus far, but we wouldn't be surprised to see the Sycamores turn things around going forward. And this is also a group back during the non-conference that competed really well against quality opposition, losing to Iowa State on a neutral site by 2 points and Stanford by 3 points. So this is definitely a team that has a higher ceiling when playing up to their potential. Drake hasn't faced the same kind of challenges as Indiana State so far this season, and the Bulldogs have a worse record nonetheless, standing 4-12 overall. The Bulldogs are coming off one of their better results of the year thus far as Drake came through in their last outing at home against Evansville by a final of 88-76. Drake is the worst defensive team in the MVC, ranking 280th in the nation in points allowed, and it'll be interesting to see how the Bulldogs are able to slow down this Indiana State attack this evening. Drake has been led by Reed Timmer, who's averaging 16.6 points per game. Indiana State has had some tough luck losses in conference play thus far, losing in overtime on the road against both Missouri State and Southern Illinois back-to-back. Indiana State has shown the ability to put up solid results on the road throughout the regular season, and we like the Sycamores to come through today as against one of the lesser teams in the MVC as they go on to cover the spread. All right, next game we want to talk about, another Big Ten matchup we got here between Michigan and Illinois. It's starting to get to a make-or-break point for this Michigan squad in terms of their chances to build up their resume to make the NCAA tournament. Michigan has been inconsistent, which is frustrating for such a veteran group. And on the year, the Wolverines stand 11-5 overall and 1-2 in conference play. In their last outing, Michigan fell at home as favorites, losing to Maryland by a final of 70-77. Michigan likes to slow things down and play things in the half court, as this group currently ranks 161st in the nation in scoring compared to 30th in total defense. Michigan spreads the ball around with 4 players averaging in double figures, and veterans guard Zach Irving leads the way, averaging 14 points per game. Illinois has put together a similar campaign to the Wolverines so far this season, standing 11-5 overall and 1-2 in the Big Ten. Illinois likes to push the pace of play a bit more than Michigan, as the Illini rank 82nd in the nation in scoring compared to 205th in total defense. Illinois has been playing their best ball this season at home, and in their last home game, the Illini came through against Ohio State by a final of 75-70. In their last Big Ten contest, Illinois lost on the road against Indiana by a final of 80-96. Illinois actually has some nice resume-building wins coming through back during the non-conference against teams like NC State, VCU, and BYU. Illinois is led by veteran Malcolm Hill, who's averaging nearly 19 points per game. Both of these squads are in need of a win in Big Ten play to avoid dropping to 1-3 overall in conference. Illinois has a solid home court advantage that they've been using well so far this season. Michigan is coming off a disappointing defeat at home. It'll be interesting to see how the Wolverines bounce back today on the road. We do like the home team to come through here as they go on to cover the spread. And the game right below this one, we have Utah State versus Wyoming. Utah State isn't having the kind of season they were hoping, as the Aggies stand 9-7 overall and 2-2 in the Mountain West Conference. And ever since moving into the Mountain West Conference, Utah State has seemingly come up short of expectations on a rather consistent basis. Utah State lost 3 straight to close out the month of December, but the Aggies have bounced back recently, winning their last 2 conference games against New Mexico and UNLV at home. Utah State has been pretty average on both sides of the ball this year, ranking 177th in the nation in scoring and 153rd in total defense. The Aggies have been led by veteran forward Jalen Moore, who's averaging just over 17 points per game. And then the home team is going to be Wyoming in this one, and the Wyoming Cowboys have been better than most anticipated coming into the year, and Wyoming currently stands 11-5 overall and 1-2 in the Mountain West Conference coming into this home test. Wyoming has been one of the best offensive teams in the conference this season, ranking 2nd in the Mountain West in scoring average. Wyoming came up short again in their last outing on the road, losing to Fresno State by a final of 70-85. Wyoming has picked up the bulk of their wins at home this season, and in their conference opener at home, the Cowboys look solid, beating Air Force by a final of 84-72. The offense spreads the ball around, and Justin James has been leading this balanced attack, averaging 16 points per contest. Utah State has been a disappointment so far this season, and this will be another tough test for the Aggies as they go on the road here. Wyoming has a solid home court advantage that they've been utilizing well so far this season. We like the Cowboys to come through tonight as they go on to win and cover this manageable spread behind their home crowd. All right, scrolling down here, the next game we're going to be talking about is Temple versus UConn. Got an American Athletic Conference matchup here. Temple has been playing very poorly on the road in conference play thus far, losing in convincing fashion, both on the road against UCF and SMU. Temple was able to get back on track on their home court the other day, getting past East Carolina by a final of 81-62. Temple now stands 10-7 in overall and 1-3 in conference for a group that's been inconsistent with their results. The Owls have had the ability to beat elite competition and then struggle in games that they should be able to win. Temple ranks 239th in the nation in scoring average and 157th in total defense. The Owls have 4 players averaging in double figures, with Obi Enachinia leading the way, averaging 14.6 points per game. UConn is clearly one of the more disappointing teams in college basketball this season, coming into the year ranked in the top 25 and now standing just 6-9 overall and 1-3 in the AAC. UConn has been a disappointment, but that doesn't mean the Huskies still can't be a thorn in the side of their opposition. In their last outing, the Huskies looked strong defensively at home as they went on to beat UCF by a final of 64-49. UConn has left a lot to be desired on the offensive end, but this is a tough defensive unit that ranks 58th in the nation in points allowed compared to 324th in scoring average. UConn has had to deal with some injuries this season, but this group is still led by talented players like Jalen Adams and Rodney Purvis, who are averaging 15.5 and 13.1 points per game, respectively. UConn has a strong home court advantage, and we saw that in their last outing as the Huskies went on to dominate the UCF Knights in a winning effort, and this is the same UCF squad that was able to throttle Temple earlier in conference play. We do like the home team to compete hard again today as they go on to cover the spread against Temple. And just one more game that we want to cover in today's video, and that's going to be Iowa State against Oklahoma State. Iowa State bounced back in their last outing, getting past Texas at home by a final of 79-70. Iowa State has been very competitive thus far in Big 12 play, and the Cyclones now stand 10-4 overall and 2-1 in conference. The Cyclones have done a lot of damage on their home court this season, and on the year, Iowa stands an impressive 44th in the nation in scoring, as well as 33rd in total defense. Veteran guard Monty Morris hasn't been quite as lethal offensively as we were expecting coming into the year, but Morris is still steady, averaging almost 15 points per game. Nazareth Mitriou-Long has been leading this balanced offensive attack, averaging 15.4 points per game. And then the home team, Oklahoma State, has faced a difficult opening slate in the Big 12, and the Cowboys are now in desperate need of a win to get back on track, as Oklahoma State now stands 10-5 overall and 0-3 in the Big 12. Oklahoma State needs to take care of business at home during conference play if they're going to keep their NCAA tournament hopes alive. The Cowboys are one of the more dangerous offensive teams in the Big 12, ranking 9th in the nation in scoring average, compared to 292nd in total defense. In their last outing, Oklahoma State came up short on the road, losing to Baylor by a final of 57-61 in a very competitive matchup. This high-powered Oklahoma State offensive attack is led by Juwan Evans, who's averaging nearly 19 points per game. Iowa State will have their hands full today on the road against an Oklahoma State squad that's hungry for a win and looking to defend their home court. Oklahoma State has been competitive in league play, but they've been coming up just short in their conference matchups. We do like for the home team to bounce back this evening as they go on to cover the spread against the Cyclones. And that pretty much is going to wrap up the games that we wanted to talk about for today's video for January 11th, 2017. Again, if you're looking for our daily free play in college basketball, you can head on over to stumpthespread.com to get that. And also, if you want, you can upgrade to become a premium member and get our top confidence plays across all major American sports. And if you want, you can click that subscribe button to get more college basketball pick videos in the future. And if you can click that thumbs up on this video, it's greatly appreciated. And thanks for those of you who have been doing that. That's pretty much going to wrap up today's video, and we will see you in the next college basketball pick video. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.